Following is an AZPM original production.
Arizona Science is supported by Research Corporation for Science Advancement.
For AZPM, I'm Leslie Tolbert, Regents Professor Emerita in Neuroscience at the University of Arizona, and this is Arizona Science. Today we'll be talking with Ellen Ryloff, Professor and Head of the Department of Computer Science. She will be the next speaker in the upcoming College of Science Public Lecture Series. Thank you for joining us, Ellen.
Oh, thank you, Leslie. I'm happy to be here.
Your main area of focus is language processing and computational linguistics. Tell us what those terms mean.
Natural languages are languages that evolved over time with human beings to communicate with each other. So in the United States, we mostly do research on English, but in other countries, we work on other natural languages such as Spanish and German and Japanese. And in fact, there are researchers who work on many different languages at the same time.
So you teach computers to use natural language processing, as you call it, to recognize really subtle features of language. What do you mean by natural language processing?
One of the hallmarks of a natural language, in contrast to an artificial language, is that they are incredibly ambiguous. So if you think about an artificial language, there are things like programming languages, which are designed often by committees, and the way they are designed is to be unambiguous, so that, for example, your computer system knows exactly what it means. In contrast, natural languages evolved over time for the purpose of efficient communication, and they're just inherently ambiguous. One of the things that fascinates me about this field is that as humans, when we communicate with each other, we cut through that ambiguity seemingly effortlessly. But when the computer has to cut through it, you realize how much ambiguity there actually is.
So what are some of those subtle subjective features that are unspoken but easily recognized by you and me?
Yeah, there's a wide variety of them, and I'll touch on many different phenomena in my lecture series talk. But for example, many words, most words, I'd say, actually have more than one meaning. You might think about the word fine. I'd say, I am fine. I'm feeling a positive sentiment or emotion. But a fine can also be a fee, right, that you pay for something, so it has multiple meanings. You may think of the words like mad or angry as being good keywords, but every time you mention a movie or a TV show or a video game like Angry Birds, it doesn't mean you're always angry when you refer to the Angry Birds. And so we need context to recognize when you're actually expressing an emotion, say, or referring to some sort of other entity.
And how do you teach a computer to recognize whether it's a happy emotion, a sad emotion, whatever?
Yeah, there's a variety of different techniques. Some of them involve trying to learn the vocabularies of what words can potentially refer to an emotion or a feeling. And then there's other techniques that try to disambiguate in context, whether, for example, an instance of the word fine is really referring to a positive emotion or some sort of a fee. And there's larger contextual issues at play as too, like sarcasm is a really great example where I might say that my boss asked me to work Saturdays for the next month. I'm so thrilled about it. And I probably mean that sarcastically. So the word thrilled you would normally think of as a positive keyword, but actually when I'm speaking sarcastically, it means negative emotion.
But another big cue that we have in speaking with each other is that we see each other usually. How are you replacing that last bit of subtlety?
There are degrees of language understanding. So there's written text, which is primarily what I work on. There's an increasing amount of work in multimodal recognition of affect and emotions. That's a growing area of computer science and artificial intelligence, but it's still an area I think that's in the research stage for the most part.
And how do you deal with the ethical issues? What's your process for dealing with what could be an ethical problem?
As a computer science researcher, my goal is really understanding the fundamental phenomenon underneath it and not deploying what I'm doing into specific applications. But a lot of it, I think, is making sure the users are aware of what the computers are doing and what they're using it for and give consent for that to be done.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a sense of the exciting work that you'll be presenting in the College of Science lecture series. Ellen Ryloff is an expert in complex language processing by computers. You can listen to this and all Arizona Science conversations at azpm.org/Arizona Science. I'm Leslie Tolbert.
Thank you to Research Corporation for Science Advancement for their support of Arizona Science. AZPM podcasts are made possible in part by donations from listeners like you. Learn more at support.azpm.org. Thank you.